Okay, hi, I'm Mike Cerrone, and this is the Referral Mastermind Call. If you have questions, concerns, thoughts, issues on how you can get more referrals from your friends, family, and past clients, you're in the right place. This is what we're here to talk about. We're bringing together the mastermind, which is a group of people where two or more people get together and they chat and share their brain ability to brainstorm ideas and come together to solve challenges and get solutions from more than one perspective. So if you're here for that, you're in the right place. So let's go ahead and get started. Anybody, how are you reaching out to your database? Let's start there. The folks listening, do you actually have a marketing plan, an annual marketing plan to reach out to your folks and see if they're interested in either repeating, buying and selling again, or maybe buying or selling for the first time if they haven't yet, if they're not a past client, or sending you a referral? What are you doing to make sure you stay in front of them? And well, hello, Christine, did you have a question?
No, I was going to answer your question.
Oh, sure.
I don't have a formal process, but it is happening organically and has for 18 years. But I know that there's opportunity to improve that if it's more consistent. I don't think I'm alone in maybe over analyzing options and never quite committing to something systematic, as far as even how to thank somebody for a referral, or, do you do random gifting or something consistent? All that, I overthink it.
Thank you for being honest and sharing that with us, and being willing to step up and chat with the group. So this is very interesting. If you don't mind, I'd like to just kind of dig into what you mentioned. You've been in the business for 18 years, and do you get the bulk of your business from repeat and referral? Yeah, that's fantastic. And so have you ever put together a formal database? Have you started that process where you've put all these people into a database or into a spreadsheet, or somehow you have them organized? Okay, that's cool. So do you, let's start there, if you don't mind, and you tell me if this is okay, but I'm going to jump in. How big is your database?
I don't have a huge past client list because I've been blessed enough to work with a lot of the same people 4 and 5 and 6 times. So like, for instance, when I first started doing client events, my list isn't huge. And now I'm running into an issue where that initial group, their kids are aging. So now I have new people with younger kids, but I'm trying to figure out how to service multiple age groups and multiple backgrounds. I have the events, but it seems like it's always a mad scramble before to get the word out. And then on my to-do list consistently is some sort of like, so sorry, we missed you. Here's what it looked like. And I just don't know where to house that and how to do that. So to answer you directly, I would say in my past client database, it's probably a couple of hundred. It's not a huge list, but it is growing because we're starting to get, I've got one teammate, and so I've got inbound lead gen that she's doing. So it's building off of the sphere a bit more lately.
Well, this is great. Let's dig into this. This is kind of fun. So you mentioned a lot of cool things in there, by the way, for us to talk about. So I'm going to kind of pick and choose if I can remember some of them. But let's stay on this idea of database size just for a second. So you mentioned you have 200 or so folks, you think. You mentioned you think you have a small group of past clients. And before I go into that any further, you mentioned that one of the reasons is you're getting a lot of repeats. You're getting a lot of people that continuously come back to you. And that should give you a lot of fulfillment and satisfaction to know that you're doing a good job. They would not come back to you and use you again if you sucked, if you were terrible at this thing. They just wouldn't do it. So first of all, give yourself a pat on the back. And that's actually very important for us to remember, that we did a good job, because it gives us the confidence to take that extra step to let other people know about our services. maybe feel a little more confident about that, to remember, I am going to go out and take care of these people and do a really good job. Not only do I believe that, but other people believe it because they're coming back to me, right? Sometimes it's a belief issue that's big for us to help us take that next step. So thank you for sharing that. Just to dig in some more on this list, because I have something I want to share with you. And so you got, how many past clients do you think in that group?
It's mostly past clients. I would say there's probably close to 200.
Really? So you have about 200 past clients.
Mm-hmm.
That's a phenomenal list. That's great. And you built that up over 18 years.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool. Do you mind if and I'm kind of putting you on the spot. You don't have to answer my questions ever if you don't want to, but how many closings do you typically have in a given year?
My productions hovered around 45 for a while.
Well, that is fantastic. And you said that if you were to look at the 45, by the way, that's great. That's way above average, as you know. If you were to look at the 45, what percentage of those 45 are coming from the repeat and referral? Is it half? Is it 20%? Is it 80%? What do you think?
It's probably close to 80 between repeat or referral from that base.
Wow, that's phenomenal. Now, you said you don't have a standardized approach. And yet you also mentioned you were doing events. So you are doing certain things. Maybe you just don't have an annual marketing plan set up at the beginning of the year. You mentioned you were kind of getting into the events late and you didn't have enough notifications going out early enough to people for the invitations, as an example. Do you have an annual marketing plan you put together in, say, November or December for the upcoming year?
Yes and no. I have some of it. So what I did this past year for personal accountability, I wanted to quit thinking about things as each month kind of came up. So I bought calendars and I picked the events. I put a sticker on the date, and that was my commitment. So at our December event, I passed the calendars out. So that's the marketing plan, but marketing around each event before and after has no plan. Okay, cool.
So we're going to come right back to events, because events are really cool and they're fun and they're done by most of the top people for a reason. And obviously you picked up on that because you're doing it. And I want everyone else to hear what we're talking about as well. First of all, I want to talk about your list. You said it's about 200 people and you're getting about 45 closings a year. And you said the majority, I think you said the majority of that is repeat and referral. Tell me that percentage again. Is it 80% or what was the percent?
It's probably close to 80. Yeah.
So we're talking about somewhere around 35 to 40 are coming from repeat and referral. And I'm just trying to do math quick in my head. I'm kind of slow sometimes, but I'm thinking you're around 18 to 20% in your referral productivity percentage. That's phenomenal. Whatever you're doing is actually working well. So we'll see if we can plus it up, but I'm sure that I'm curious and other people might want to know, what are you doing to generate such a high referral productivity percentage? That's at the upper end, by the way. Somebody who's just getting started might be around 5%. Someone who's working it and doing well, maybe around 10% plus. And the top folks that I talk to, top solo agents, tend to be around the 20%. Now, I know somebody who hit 35%, but they're very unusual. Most of the top people are right around that 20% mark, and that's right where you are. You should be very happy with what you're doing. If you were to pick this out, you said you're not doing anything. You are doing events. How many events are you doing each year? What other things are you doing to reach out to your people throughout the year?
This year, I kind of bit off more than I should have. But consistently for the last 3 or 4 years, I do a Santa photo party last week in November. And then I do where I egg people in March. So I had these signs made. I stole this idea from somebody, so I don't know. You might even know who it is. I don't know. But I had these signs made that said, "You've been egged. Find 12 eggs in your yard." And so around Easter, it grows. I have trouble saying no and feeling bad if I miss a family. So it ends up being about 70 houses.
Wow.
So for some people, I'm like, I would come to the house or see them and the kids are like, is she going to egg our house today? So it's gotten that anytime I think about not doing it, because it's very labor intensive, that happens. And I remember I need to stick with it. So I've done those two things for a long time. Over the years, we've done a few like one-off others, we did a party there's a local bar that has like video games. It's just like a bar for adults with video games. And so
Right.
it's called Token. So we did a mixer there. We did one downtown, did a Smokies night. We've kind of bounced around some other things.
So it sounds like about 2 events a year.
That's what it's been. And then there'll be like one random something at some point, usually.
So maybe up to 3 events per year. Okay, cool. And then are you doing anything else to stay in front of them? Are you calling? Are you emailing? Are you texting? Are you dripping on them? Are you chasing them around on social media? Anything else you're doing?
I have HomeBot. So that goes out consistently and it's amazing. And then I do a lot of social and I do a lot of video. They may or may not all be in that retargeting audience. I don't know. But I know it's reaching at least a good portion of them. So I know a lot of that is part of it too. Great.
So HomeBot, for people that don't know that are listening to us, tell us what it is.
HomeBot is a home digest for people. I had a hard time because a lot of things that realtors and lenders send is junk and it's useless. But HomeBot's pretty cool. It'll give them a valuation on what their home is worth. If they think it's under, they can request a CMA, but it also allows them to manipulate the numbers. So if they've paid down principal and we don't know, they get to put that in there and it shows more equity. And then it gives them options on what to do with their equity. Do they want to refi? Do they want to buy an investment property? Do they want to make a move up purchase? And so it starts getting them to think about how their money works. And it's pretty cool. I mean, I'd say the click-through rate on it is at least 50%. Which
Wow.
is unheard of on that sort of thing.
Oh yeah. That's no doubt. My lender sends me that. So lenders do this, you're doing this. And I think you're right because it's very targeted to the person, right? It's talking specifically about what their home is worth, not generically what's happening in the market. And it'll give them that update. How often are you sending that?
It goes out monthly.
Yeah, so that's your monthly touch, right? That's your monthly touch that you're doing. It runs in the background. You don't have to do anything to it once you get.
And the lender sponsors it. I think it cost me $25.
Oh wow! So the lender's co-branding it with you. And
I think a lender has to be the marketing, and then the lender sponsors the agent, and then for whatever compliance stuff. So it's very affordable for what you get.
Right. And the lender likes it because they're seeing the mortgage side where they might pick up a refinance.
They have,
purchase if they end up buying with you. It's a win-win for both of you. How cool is that? What a great concept. I hope everybody heard that and thought of that. And that's the HomeBot. So that's kind of your core. And on top of that, you sprinkled in some events, the 3 events per year. And boy, I'm sorry, I got so excited about HomeBot. Did I forget anything else that you had mentioned that you were doing?
I do some video.
You do some video. When you say you do video, what does that mean?
So I have a third-party marketing company that I work with. So they do a lot of social posting, but it's very organic. So I always do a video tour for my listings, actual video. I'm in it, not, nothing panning with the computer.
Right, I'm here.
And then they put ad money behind it. So I think my videos are getting 30 to 50,000 views.
Wow.
And then they write a lot of copy on photo posts. So it's something simple, like it could be me at my daughter's field trip, and they'll write some ad copy on the importance of work-family balance, or they'll do like something snarky. Like there was one where I stood with cardboard sign and it said, no, I'm not homeless, but my clients might be. Do you have like, so it's funny. But it's gotten a lot of chatter with clients that has helped.
What is the name of that company?
Platform.
Thank you. And Now that's going out beyond your PCSOI, right? That's going out to a lot more general people in the market. But does it include and specifically target your PCSOI? Is that why you brought that up? Or did you start with that list?
It doesn't specifically target it, but most of them are on my Facebook business page. And so they see it. And then when they comment, then others see it. And so
that's where you're posting these videos, is on Facebook on your business page. And then this company is helping you amplify that out.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. And because most of your past, or many of your past clients are also friends, or they liked your page, your business page, they're seeing it, or they may be seeing it. And then you also mentioned retargeting. How's that working? Is it coming off from people that go to your page, or they go to your website, or what's the retargeting part?
With that company, what it's supposed to be is like a home search on Facebook lead. I canceled that part because a Facebook lead for a home search is useless. Like, I don't even know if they're looking for a house. So I took our pay-per-click to the website, and I now add them to my retargeting. And then, of course, anybody that clicks on one of the home videos or one of the other ads is then automatically added to.
Cool. Well, thank you for bringing that up. I'm going to go back into the PCSOI. It's 80% plus your business. We had that nice baseline of the home bot. Now we're adding on the events. You had this great one where you've been egged, right? When you said that, I'm sure as everybody else, I thought, is she walking up to a house with a raw egg and throwing it at it? That sounds terrible. And so it's very funny, right? It's humorous. It has a little twist. Very smart. And to me, when I heard it, I hadn't heard that idea before. When I heard the idea, I thought, how touching to the family, how personalized that is. And you mentioned the little kids wanting you to come back the following year, right? And that is such a special touch, even though it is time consuming. What a great idea and a concept. How do you make the 800 eggs though? I got, you said a dozen eggs per house, 70 houses. That's nuts. How do you make all those eggs, and who helps you put them out?
It's had iterations over the years. Originally it was me, then it was me and my kids. And then now I've got a part-time client care coordinator. And so she helps, she pre-orders things and systemized it. And so we just have whatever each thing is. So we do 6 toys and 6 candy, and it's all split in bags, pre-egged. And then you just start grabbing it. And then I use just Kroger bags. So each house already has the 12 eggs, and whatever my route is, I have that many bags. And then
Are these plastic eggs, or are they real? Oh, okay. Ooh, I thought you were boiling all these eggs and coloring them yourself.
No, it's the little kid ones that go in the Easter baskets.
And are they already filled with something, or do you have to fill them?
We fill it. I'm too cheap to buy them pre-filled because they're so much more expensive, but
right. And then your assistant and you are putting these things together, and my gosh, it must take a week of preparation to get all that done.
Yeah. Right? You get it down to an assembly line, but there's some work there. Egging the houses is the hardest.
And yeah. And so how long are you able to knock that out in a day, or does it take a couple days? What do you do?
It takes me quite a few days. I usually do it over 2 or 3 weekends, because you have to go first thing in the morning, because otherwise the kids are already out. Dads are doing yard work. I did get busted this year. That's the first time I've gotten. He was already standing with his face to the glass.
Oh no!
So I go out early, hoping Ring doorbells didn't help.
All right. Oh my! What a cool idea! And then you said in the November, you're doing the Christmas, did you say Christmas picture with Santa? Was that right?
A photo party, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And then you might toss another one in the middle. Now, in the very beginning, when we started this, you talked about a challenge of making sure that you're getting out there early enough with your invitations. Your current system, how does it work with your invitations? How soon do you get it out there? What is your medium to let people know about these events?
It's a mess. I suffer from a lot of indecision. And so a lot of times we're like, oh, I'll decide that tomorrow. And then, tomorrow comes too close to the event. So we've done print invitations. I tossed that. That just seemed like it was more money than it was worth. We've started doing Eventbrite and Facebook. It's fine. It's okay, I think, for like mass, but really, if I'm correct, it seems like you just have to hit the phones and start texting people. I mean, I keep trying to find mass, like ways to do it in a larger quantity. And you either get a big bounce back rate or unsubscribes because people don't know what they're looking at. And so I just have to hit the phone. But I wish that I had a better process around structuring that and how many touches. And then also, I think there's a missed opportunity for people that did or didn't come, either thanking them or saying we missed you. And that's just not happening.
Okay. So let's start with the end. Do you do a wrap up at the end after the event to let everybody know that the event happened, send some pictures? Okay.
I intend to, and it's in my, it's always on my list. And then I think I'm so exhausted and behind on everything else that I need to do. But now I've got my client care coordinator. So I think if I can give her some structure around it, it doesn't have to be me anymore. And that would be nice, but I don't have enough nouns to give her at the moment.
Well, I want everybody to pick up on this because this is something I run into all the time. Your system is not perfect. You want to improve it. And yet you are having great results when we look at your results. And the reason is because even though you've mentioned hesitancy and not having this perfect plan, you are taking action. You are making things happen. You have like that home bot that goes out automatically every month. You are doing these 2 events in your mind. You're going to do them every year, whether they happen perfectly or not, they're happening. You are making these nice touches. Like that Easter one and the one leading into it, because the timing is good for the market, for the spring market. That's when a lot of people, at least around here, put their home on the market, right? They start their listing process and they're thinking about moving, getting spring fever. So the timing is really good. Okay, let's go into, I'm sorry, I was just double checking something. Let's go into what other people are doing. And then again, you brought up that you've already heard most of these ideas. So the best folks that do this, they want to do 3 invitations, the event itself, and then a post-event notification. So the reason they're doing that is they have 5 contacts, potentially 5 contacts with their database from one event. And as you've already picked up on, it's so much more fun to do a reach out when it's an event than it is to do a cold call reach out or something that feels cold call-ish, where you're reaching out and unexpectedly calling them. In fact, I'm getting the impression you do not do that. You do not call your list and say, hey, it's Christine, how you doing? Thinking about any real estate in the upcoming year? You don't do that, right? Okay. And in fact, you've mentioned you've tried these bulk blast things, emails, or maybe even a bulk text or whatever you've done, where it's kind of a blast out. And you've mentioned that you have a high unsubscribe rate because people don't know what that message is. Mm-hmm. And you're probably correct. Before I go on, I have another question. Have you ever taken the DISC profile test, the DISC? And what are you?
I'm a high D.
A high D.
And a high S.
And
excuse me, high I.
High I, yeah.
High I, high D, and my C is like that big. Although my D is mostly adaptive.
Cool. Wow. So you've dug into this and you understand. That's the beauty of the DISC is most people in real estate deal with that. If you talk to people outside real estate, they're like, what are you talking about with DISC? It's just adapted it. I think Howard Britton did that way back, or I'm not sure where it came from, but that's where I first heard it. So you're a D, which is a driver, and then you're an I, which is influential. You like to be social, which is interesting. We're going to come back to that. C, you mentioned, is small, and that's where we're very organized, analytical, maybe prepared for these events, right? Okay. And so when you're creating your organization, you mentioned you have an assistant to help. Make sure that you give them the DISC and they have high C. They can balance out your less see. We have all these things, all of us. It's just what we like to do the most and what we gravitate towards. Just make sure that you have people on your team then that have good C so they can help you with this mapping it out. They'll love it. They'll jump in and they'll have a field day mapping this thing out at the beginning of the year. What they hate is to get in front of someone face to face, which you have no problem with. You're enjoying that, right? Yeah. Okay. And then your D is a driver. That's fantastic. You're a rare breed, less than 5% of the population. And that's obviously why you stuck to it through all the challenges that you've had over 18 years, right? Okay. And so for everyone listening, if you haven't taken that disc, take that disc. It's going to give you a lot of insight into yourself. And then I assume you're able to use that with your clients or with people you're talking to. You try to figure out what they are. You play a little game and you try to match up and give them what they want. That's the ultimate, the platinum rule. So let's dive into this a little further. I hope you're okay with this. I'm enjoying this. I hope everybody's gaining. So let's go back to the 5 contacts, right? The reason to do an event is potentially 5 touches with someone. And what people like to do is they like to mix the mediums for how they're going to reach out. So those mediums, you mentioned phone. It could be phone, it could be email, it could be a text, it could be a postcard or direct mail piece, it could be a social media announcement, right? So for instance, most people, when they do the wrap up, let's go to the end first. When they do the event wrap up, they'll take some pictures or video during the event, like when you're doing your Santa Day pictures, right? They'll get maybe they'll get a video of a kid walking up to Santa and smiling and trying to get the best one if somebody really had a great time. And they'll just get a little video clip. Maybe you need an editor to help, but you can get a little clip of that, or even just a hard photo, but something you can flash up on social media. Maybe a couple of those pictures or one long video. When I say long, a minute long or 2 minutes. And just kind of this wrap up of, hey, here's what the event was. If you joined us, check this out. See if your kid is in there. And if you missed it, be sure to join us next year. Here's what we did. It was so much fun. And people can see it. They can comment, whatever, because it's that social media aspect. Now, to plus it, what they may do is they may send out an email to say, hey, if you missed our event, check this out. We just put a video up on my Facebook page to show you what we did. And it was so much fun. And we hope you join us next year. Right. And so that'll get them to go from the email and click over and get even more action on the social media page. As far as so we'll just work backwards. As far as the event itself, that's obvious. You're going to be there. You're touching people. You're glad handing that. You're probably in your element. As a DI, you're probably having a lot of fun going up and meeting people and chatting with them and making them feel comfortable and getting them to take action. I mean, you're driven. You're willing to take eggs and go to people's house and egg them. So you're probably in the zone, right? You're having a good time when you're doing that. All right, cool. So that's the event. And a small percentage of the people that you invite will actually show up to most events. For instance, let's ask for your Santa Day event. How many people do you invite? How many people show up on average?
I'm really not the best about, it seems like after every event, I'm like, oh, I forgot to invite that person or that person. So it's wonky. But I usually end up with, I'd say we probably make sure and bug and invite about 150. And then we're getting around 40. There's always some people that surprise me that I didn't know they were coming. And then there's people that no show at the last minute. And no matter what, it seems to shake out about the same. Right.
So it's about 20 to 25% for you on the show up rate, which again, to me is high. That's great. From people I talk to, I have the nice perspective. I get to talk to a lot of people. Normally it's around 10% or so. So you're up around 20%, 20, 25. That's fantastic. You've mentioned as you're talking that you're a little concerned about the fact that not everybody shows up, right? You invited the 150, like, why aren't 150 showing up? What do I need to do next year so I get 150, right? I can hear that in your voice. And the beauty of that is it's driving you to make your event better. It's driving you to do better with your invitations. But I also want to throw out there that you're never going to have 100%. It's not even the purpose of the event. Okay, that's the mind blower. The purpose of the event is not the actual event. The purpose of the event is all the invitations and the touches and the good feelings that you're putting out there to all these people, all these wonderful people that you love and care about on your list, right? You're touching them as you're inviting them. You're touching them as you're seeing them. You're touching them in the post with a lot of good, fun feelings and excitement. And that's the benefit of putting on an event as opposed
you know
to
that cognitively. You know that cognitively, but your fear the whole week up to it is that no one will show up.
No one's going to show up.
Very stressful. Yeah.
And yet they do.
They do.
And they do. And here's something to remember for anybody getting their first event going. Even if they don't show up, you won already because you invited them. Okay, that's the kind of the brain twister. Okay, because they were invited, because Sally and John were invited to your event, they're like, oh, Christine is so awesome. She invited us out to get pictures with little Johnny with Santa Claus. We can't make it that day because but man, it was so nice of her to think of us. That's all you want to do is stay in front of them because they already know you're a great agent. They already know you're going to do a great job. People always say, why are you doing these silly events? It doesn't make any sense. It has nothing to do with real estate. Mm-hmm. That's true, but it has everything to do with relationships. And that's what the business is all about, which was very hard for me to learn as a D. Somehow you learned that somewhere along the line, that relationships are more important than the transaction. And that's why you gravitated towards events, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Well, let's keep building on this because we're having a lot of fun on events and this discussion in general. So we've got the post event, we got the event itself. Let's move forward in time now. Let's go to those invitations, those 3 invitations that you're going to do pre-event. First of all, you do need to plan it out. Now, you took a calendar and you put a stick-it on it, so you knew that was going to happen. What you also need to do is put 2-3 more stickers on, which is when you're going to make those invitations, right? Mm-hmm. And you're doing something because they're showing up. It's just you want to make it more official to make sure that more people do show up. And they're showing up pretty good. And that's what I'm also trying to tell you. I have a pretty good show up rate. But so you can make more touches and more official touches, you just want to plan it out on a schedule. With 3 events, if your lead up to the event is, say, 30 days, you've now covered 3 months of marketing over the course of a year.
There's 7 this year.
7 what?
Events.
You're going to have 7 events this year? Mm-hmm. You're ambitious. So you went from 3 to 7?
Yes. Ambitious, is that the right word to use?
Yes, you are ambitious. Well, some people would say crazy, but I'm going to say ambitious. No, I like that. And by the way, I do hear that from the top folks. Okay, I've seen that trend over the years where it used to be one party at the end of the year, a big gala. That's where I first heard about 30 years ago. And then that's kind of trended into maybe 2 a year. And then it became quarterly. That was kind of the big deal. And now 6 times a year, I hear more often. And I even hear them monthly, okay, especially for a bigger team. They want a monthly. They want a lot of activity, a lot of things that people can invite to. So your trend towards 7 makes sense to me. But I'm going to come back to the 7. Let's stick with our idea of the 3 invitations, just to wrap that part up first, because otherwise I jump around too much. We mentioned you got the different mediums, and you can decide which one you want. If you are worried, if you want to just blast things out, you have things like email. Text is a little tougher, though, because some states have rules against text blasting. So you got to be a little careful about that. But you could certainly text invite people you know well, people who are expecting your text, and it's very personal, and you know they'll read it. The email, it's a good one to blast. Excuse me, but you've always run the risk of unsubscribes. That's going to happen almost every time you send out an email. So you just got to get used to that if you're going to go the email route. You mentioned mailing and that you weren't having success with it. You thought it was a waste of time. How come?
I never got any clarification on whether they even noticed it whether it went to junk, and it just seemed like it cost so much to have them printed and to have it mailed, and you had to do it so much further in advance. And then there was really, it seemed like once I hit the phone, they may or may not have ever even noticed it. And so I just stopped doing that one.
Good. Well, you have to know what's working for you. And the only way to truly know is if you're asking, if you're getting feedback. How did you hear? The question is, how did you hear about the event? Right? How did you hear about the event? Now, if you're doing multiple touches, they could have mentioned one of the all three. You don't really know which one was the guiding factor. Let me throw one other thing out there. Remember that the idea is the big picture idea of all of this is simply to keep your face in front of these people. Keep your face in front of these people throughout the course of the year so they don't forget about you. They already have a good feeling about you. You've won that battle. Now the battle is just stay relevant, stay in front of them, stay top of mind, because they're getting other messages from other people, right? Other advertisements are coming in their head, other businesses, and I have somebody having a hard time getting in there. They have other businesses. They're trying to take their space in their mind, those top three rungs in the real estate mind share. So you got to stay in front of them. And the nice thing about the postcard, the reason I like it is if you're doing it right, what you want is you want your face, your name, and something to do with real estate on the card. The reason is it connects those three dots in their brain. So most people, you're correct, will take the mail, they'll look at it, and then they'll toss it in the trash can as they're going through their list of junk, right? And so you've only got like 3 or 4 seconds. Most people are visual, though. Remember, we're doing visual right now. We like to look at television. We like to look at computers. 80% of the population is visual. So if you can just connect on both sides of that card, your face, your name, that should be big, and something about real estate, either a picture of a house, a picture of a sign, a picture of smiling people in front of a house, something. If you can connect those in a postcard, you're going to have great success. Now, the next part of a postcard is to have a great offer and a call to action, okay, so that they take action on what you want. Now, remember, the only people who are taking action are the people that are interested in whatever they saw initially. Most people won't be interested, and they're going to be tossing. So the reason, the thing you want to achieve each time you send that piece out is face, name, real estate recognition. If you do that, you're golden, because now they're going to remember you next time real estate comes up. Okay. So if you go back to postcards, just make sure that it has those features on it. And then the reason people like mail again, see, the internet kind of killed the mail offerings. Mail was huge prior to the internet. Internet kind of killed it off, and when the internet came in '93 and afterwards. Prior to that, mail was how you reached out to everybody. And real estate agents were a huge sender of mail, myself included. But that fell off tremendously over the last couple decades because all the money was moving into digital. Why I'm saying that is there's a lot of space now in mailboxes, okay, because it's not used like it used to be. And so why you should consider it if you go down that route. Let's go to the final one that's most important, and that is the call. The call. If you call somebody, you're either going to talk to them or you're going to give voicemail. You can talk to them voicemail, or you can immediately send them a text afterwards saying, hey, I just tried to reach you. Okay, that's another thing to remember. That, though, is the most personal touch you can make, right? On the 7 levels of communication, that's one of the highest that you can do other than face-to-face. So the next would be phone. And that's why you're going to have great success with it. You're going to get the best responses, and you're going to get the deepest relationships when you make those calls. It's also the most painful for most people to reach out and make those calls. It's time consuming. We're scared of it. We're worried something's going to go wrong. I don't know, whatever the fear is, but it is the highest type of communication for this, other than walking up and knocking on their door and inviting them. Okay. So, the thing that if you want to go that route, you can just start early, start with your favorite people on the list when you start the calls so that it's easy. call your mom first, right? Make an easy call first. Get yourself rolling and either have a script or at least an outline. Some people don't like scripts, that's fine, but at least have an outline of some bullet points that you want to hit. If you want to say hi, keep it simple. I want to say hi. I want to say, how you doing? I want to say, I just called to invite you to this event. And then you have the details there. If they say they want to go, say, great, here's the details. Just wanted to know who's showing up so I can be prepared. And by the way, how are the kids? That's where you get back in the relationship. How are the kids? How's the house? Do you need any vendors? That's how you roll into the real estate rather than saying who who's thinking about buying and selling real estate in the next 6 months. Does that help?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I hope that you incorporate that. That would be the way to get more people to show up to the event, but more importantly, it'd be the way to sell more homes because you're talking to more people and conversations are what lead to real estate sales. This has been so fun. Everybody pay attention. Christine is taking notes. I'm serious. When top people hear a good idea, we like to write it down. We like to gobble it up. That's the other thing you don't see when I do interviews. When we're going back and forth in interviews, sometimes we'll mention an idea. And if it's a good idea or something they haven't heard of, the interview, you don't see it. We just edit it out. They go, wait a minute, well, tell me about that again. They write it down. They want to get that information because they're constantly a sponge of great ideas. And then the key is to do what Christine did, which is implement. You have to take some action to put it in place. So to wrap all this up, this has been a lot of fun. You mentioned you want to do 7 events this year. What are they?
We did a using real estate for long-term wealth. So we did like an investing seminar in February. We did a movie night in March where we rented a movie theater out.
That's a big one.
Yeah, it was actually really, really cheap too. Then we egged 2 weeks ago. I did a cornhole tournament at a local brewery, which was a blast. And that was the first time I did that. And we I stole the idea from somebody else. I didn't come up with it, but the winner got like this WWF looking championship belt that was horrifically gaudy and made me really happy. Thankfully made the winner happy too, because I wasn't sure how that was going to land, but he was excited. And then they keep it and they have to bring it next year for the next winner. And then we'll do a snow cone truck the first half day of school. Another movie night in October, because I think it's good for people that don't have kids or maybe aren't as social. And then we'll do the Santa photo party again.
Wow. So how many events have you done already? We're about halfway through the year. How many events have you done so far?
4.
You've already done 4 of the 7. Mm-hmm. Let me ask, you've been in the business 18 years. Are you seeing any kind of difference in the number of leads or interest or real estate? The hardcore Ds want to know if this is resulting in business. Are you seeing more business flowing in from these things or more connections being made that will turn into business?
I don't know that I can quantify it yet, but I do know that, in my opinion, this is a disruptor market right now. And so I'm looking to make sure nobody else comes and takes my client base. And so, I think it's in uncertain times, it's all the more important to be front of mind with people. And I think when they say things like when I do something ridiculous and I'm holding the championship belt and I'm like, you don't want to miss this. And they laugh and they know that that's me and that resonates. Like that's the thread I'm trying to keep on the hook. So it's a little early to say, but in total, it's what could have been a couple of months of a pay-per-click for me to nurture a lead for 5 years and maybe never even convert. It was the best way for me to spend my money. I know that is
good. So I'm hearing that you would do this again next year, where you would try to do, say, 6 events or so rather than going back to 2.
Yes, I think I need to be. I really like the snow cone one is super easy. The movie night is super easy. Some of the others are a little bit more labor intense, so I'm trying really hard to keep those, only one or two of those a year because it's hard to do with life and busy work. But yeah, I won't stop those.
That's cool. The other thing I heard I'll point out is you mentioned this a few times as we've been chatting is humor. You like to use humor. You like to keep things happy and light. You said it in your videos that you're making, that those have been some of your best videos with the humor. You just mentioned it with the belt. You like to keep things light. And that's good because if you make people laugh, they're going to remember you, right? It hits them in the heart and it connects them to you. So that's pretty smart. It's something for everyone else to remember, especially if it's part of your personality. In other words, if it's part of your personality, don't hold that back. That's what I thought when I first got started. I needed to be super professional and not crack any jokes and be really hardcore business. And okay, that worked, but it would have been a lot more fun if we just cracked some more jokes, right?
Yeah.
So let's do this, Christine. We've talked a lot. We've had fun. You've been so kind to share your story with everyone. We've got some folks listening, and I don't know if they have any questions for you. So if you don't mind, since we've been focusing on you today, would it be okay if I asked them if they would like to ask you a question about what we've been talking about?
Yeah. Okay, cool. I mean, I didn't mean to monopolize there.
Oh, this is perfect. This was great. I'm so happy you stepped up. So let's do this. If you have a question for Christine about anything she's talked about, if you're curious, because you may be, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question. I'm going to look over here and chat real quick to make sure we didn't miss anything. But again, if you have a question about what Christine's talking about, her annual marketing plan, events, etc., go ahead. While you have her, you've got this mastermind opportunity. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question. Wow, we must have hit everything. We must have done a great job, Christine. Way to go. All right. Well, Christine, thank you so much for sharing today and being so open. I know you mentioned you weren't prepared for this. You were kind of be a fly on the wall. We took you off the wall and we had you share your story. It's so cool. I hope this maybe helped a little bit for you and your journey moving forward. I hope it helped people listening to us, some of the challenges you've had and the successes you've had. This has been a lot of fun. We have a couple minutes left in the mastermind. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up to anybody else who would like to present either a question, an issue, a success story. Like I saw Marie said that she has had a lot of luck with referrals lately. If anybody would like to share, again, either a success story, ask a question of the group, or make a comment, now's your chance to go ahead, unmute yourself and share with the group. All right. Well, Christine, we must have made their mind explode. They didn't have anything else to say or think about. But thank you, Christine, in particular, for coming in and sharing with us. Everyone else who's joined us, thank you for being here. Just to wrap this up and let you know, we try to do this once a week. We've been doing it once a week for a month now or so. It's been a lot of fun. We'll be doing it next week, same time, same place, if you'd like to join us. We are trying to record these things, and as long as the technology works, you'll be able to watch the replay on either YouTube or out on our Facebook group if you would like to see that. Again, thank you everyone for joining us today, and I hope you have a fantastic and productive week. All right, take care. Bye now.